Good evening. I trust you've had a fruitful day. I don't say happy, though I hope it has been a happy day. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha, the blessed, noble, and fully self-awakened one. It's odd how it feels colder, even though the temperature's there, just about the same when it gets damp. That's the way it is. Today, I thought we'd look at number 47. It's called the Enquirer. And the Buddha people to inquire as to whether he really is truly liberated or not, truly enlightened. So he's back in Savatthi at Anathapindika's park, Jeta's Grove. And he says, someone who's an inquirer, not knowing how to gauge another's mind, in other words, how to read another's mind, another's heart, should make an investigation of the Tathagata in order to find out whether or not he's fully awakened. So remember, the word Tathagata was how he referred to himself. You can translate it as the transcendent one, gone there, right? That's how it translates. Now, the listeners say, oh, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One, guided by the Blessed One, have the Blessed One as their resort. It would be good if the Blessed One would explain the meaning of these words. Well, listen up. For using Americanism, says the Buddha. So someone who is an inquirer, not knowing how to read another person's mind, should investigate the Tathagata in respect to two states. States cognizable through the eye and through the ear. In other words, watch the Tathagata and listen to what he says. Are there found in the Tathagata defiled states that can be recognized? And when he does this, he'll come to recognize that there are no defiled states in the Blessed One. But then he must investigate further. Are there found in the Tathagata any mixed states cognizable by the eye or through the ear that they can see and hear? So mixed state means 1 minute he's the Buddha and next minute he's not. And in a sense, that's the way we are. Sometimes I'm Buddha and sometimes I'm definitely not. So no mixed states can be found in the Tathagata. Then they ask, then he says, you must investigate further. Are there found in the Tathagata or not cleansed states? That you can see and you can, and upon hearing the Buddha, you can hear it. So of course there are cleansed states. In other words, virtue. Now, when he comes to this, he investigates further. A long time, or did he attain it recently? And the answer is the Venerable One has attained this wholesome state over a long time. So now this puts big question marks on people who have sudden enlightenment and go around saying that they're fully liberated. The 60s and 70s were full of such people, gurus. So in other words, the Buddha stresses here that you don't become awakened just as soon as you wake up in the morning. Now you must investigate further. Has the Venerable acquired renown and attained fame, so that the dangers connected with renown and fame are found in him? So once somebody becomes famous, do we see any pride, any conceit, any arrogance, the abuse of power, the abuse of his students? No, this is not to be found in the Buddha. Then you must investigate further. Is the Venerable One restrained out of fear, Or sorry, is the Venerable One restrained without fear or restrained by fear? Does he avoid indulging in sensual pleasure because he is without craving through the destruction of craving? Now, that's an interesting point. Is he pretending to be restrained, or is it because all fear has gone? So that's a difficult one to gather. You'd have to catch the person, you know, and not indulging in sensual pleasures. So, you know, because there is no more craving, there's no more craving or identifying with anything which is pleasurable. So one has to observe carefully, one has to stay with somebody for quite some time. There's a story about Ajahn Chah, who had heard about this Arahat, and he went to stay with him. And seemingly, he was with him for quite some time, and was of the growing opinion that maybe this monk was indeed fully liberated. And then one day, just by happen chance, he saw him give this great dog he saw him give this dog a great kick, because the dog had sort of taken a piece of meat off the table. So I think he left after that. So he must investigate even further. What are the Venerable's reasons? Sorry, just a minute, I've missed it here. Connection. He comes to know, right, that without listening. Okay, so then if others should ask you, what are the Venerable One's reasons? What are your reasons, and what is your evidence for saying that this Venerable One is restrained without fear, not restrained by fear? He avoids indulging in sensual pleasures, not because he is without craving and the destruction of craving. Then they should answer, whether the Venerable One dwells in the Sangha or not, while some there are well behaved and some are ill behaved, and some their teach a group, while some here are seen concerned with material things and some are unsullied by material things, still that Venerable One does not despise anyone because of that. So in other words, one attribute of a fully liberated person is that instead of being angry or despising somebody who can't keep the rules or isn't well behaved, instead he would look upon them with compassion. They are spiritually sick. Now he should question the Tathagata even further. So, and then, so now what we have is a passage where this is repeated, and the Buddha now replies on his own behalf. There are no defiled states cognizable through the eye or through the ear found in the Tathagata. There are no mixed states cognizable through the eye or through the ear found in the Tathagata. In other words, 1 minute he's good and next minute he's bad. Now, are there found in the Tathagata or not cleansed states cognizable through the eye, through the ear? Yes, there are, the Buddha replies. They are my pathway and my domain, yet I do not identify with them. That's a clear point of non-identification with those beautiful virtues of compassion, love, sympathetic joy, etc. A disciple should approach the teacher who speaks to us in order to hear the Dharma. The teacher teaches him the Dharma with its higher and higher levels, with its more and more sublime levels, with its dark and bright counterparts. As the teacher teaches Dharma to the bhikkhu in this way, through direct knowledge of a certain teaching, here in that Dharma, the bhikkhu becomes, or the listener comes to the conclusion about the teachings. He places confidence in the teacher. Thus, the Blessed One is fully enlightened, the Dharma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One, and the Sangha is practicing the good way. Now, if others should ask you, what are the Venerable One's reason and what is his evidence that the Blessed One is fully enlightened, etc., etc., they should answer, here, friends, I approached the Blessed One in order to hear the Dharma. The Blessed One taught me the Dharma with its higher and higher levels, with its more and more sublime levels, with its dark and bright counterparts. As the Blessed One taught the Dharma to me in this way, through direct knowledge of a certain teaching here in that Dharma, I came to the conclusion that and the teachings, and I placed confidence in the Buddha. Now, when anyone's faith has been planted, rooted and established in the Tathagata through these reasons, terms and phrases, his faith is said to be supported by reasons rooted in vision and firm. It is invincible by any recluse or Brahmin or God or Mara or Brahmin or anyone in the world. This is how an investigation of the Tathagata in accordance with the Dharma, and this is how the Tathagata is well investigated according to the Dharma. Now, what this is interpreted by in the commentaries is that at this point of stream entry. So at the point of stream entry, remember, a person actually intuits Nibbana. He has a direct experience of Nibbana. And then, of course, that dispels all doubt, because what was before something that he had heard, that he had thought about, that he was practicing towards, he now has as a personal experience. And in that sense, his faith is rooted. And if you go back to those 37 Bodhipakya Dhamma, I forget how you translate that now, the 37 constituents of the Dharma, there were 5 of the spiritual faculties: faith, effort, awareness, concentration, and wisdom. And that these were said to become a bala, a strength, an invincible strength, once you'd attain the first path and fruit. So that is the primary aim of all meditators, to intuit Nibbana. And if you haven't done so yet, then I'm sure you will, given your determination to liberate yourselves from suffering sooner rather than later. So we can do a little sitting.